Hello, this is Maggie, and that's Tim. That's my husband Tim, who also has a doctorate in music theory and composition and all kinds of other education-y things.
And today I'll be your driver.
Today he's our driver, and we're driving on a very long drive, and so we're going to make a video that is a review of the Harmonic Series. So this is kind of an extra, but it's still I'm not going to put it in as an extra. It's going to be a review. So Harmonic Series verbally, no piano, no visuals, except us. And so if we start, I'm just going to start on C, and we're going to see what comes out of our mouths. Starting on C, Harmonic Series, if we say our fundamental is the first partial, then the second partial is
C, an octave up.
An octave above the first partial. The third partial is
G.
G, which is a fifth above the second partial and a 12th above the root, or the first partial. Let's see, now we're at the fourth partial. The fourth partial is
C.
C, it's another C. And that's a fourth above the G. And we're getting into intervals I don't want to count. So,
So 5 plus 4 is 8.
I love that one. Okay, so what are we on now?
C.
We're on the fifth. We're going to the fifth partial now.
2 octaves up
Wait,
from where we started.
we're on the fourth partial.
Yes.
Fourth partial is 2 octaves up from where we started. Thank you.
Because 8 plus 8 is 15.
So the fifth partial is
E.
It is an E. It is a major third up above that.
And notice the numbers are not just enumerations or labels. They are significant proportions. The proportion 5 over 4 is the name of a major third. It is the formula for a major third, I should say. Best described pedagogically using the length of a string. So a string that is cut in 5 parts and you stop it at 4 parts will give you a major third. But it's also true of a column of air, or a vibrating piece of metal, or a vibrating piece of wood, just more difficult to determine, to explain.
Yeah. So go backwards. So we've gone to 5 partials right now. So 5 over 4 we said was a major third, right?
Right.
So what's 4 over 3?
Is a perfect fourth.
That's our fourth. And 3 over 2
Is a perfect fifth.
is our fifth. And 2 over 1 is our octave. So we're going up our partial series now, and the next one is going to be the sixth, which is a minor third above our last one, which is a
Minor third.
well, a G. It's a G.
Oh, yeah, you
Our
said
last
that.
one is E.
G.
It's a G. So we're just going to be rambling here, but it'll be a good review because I have him. So a G is a minor third, so we've got a 6 over 5 now.
And the numbers 4, 5, and 6 were used by Renaissance theorists to describe what we would call a major triad.
Okay.
They didn't call it a major triad. They didn't see it as an entity. They saw it as a series of proportions.
That's really cool. I love that kind of thing. So we've gone up 6 partials, and right now, well, the next one, let's go one more. Let's go to 7th partial. So now we're 2 octaves above our first one. We're back to a C again.
Well, the
No, I skipped. No.
7th partial
is the flat
is
7.
a flat 7.
I'm so
and
sorry.
It's actually another minor third that is somewhat smaller.
Smaller. Yes. Yeah.
It is the torment of all brass players
Yes.
who are actually using an harmonic series to overblow a tube, and that one right there, that 7th partial, needs to be avoided because it is not really recognizable in our system as being an in-tune minor third.
It is not equally tempered easily in a brass instrument. So
equal temperament is artificial.
Right. Right, and this is what I was going to say before I got to the next partial. But once we get past the sixth partial, we're starting to get. Remember that these partials are not equally tempered, so we're getting into notes that are in between what we would think of as notes. So when we're naming these notes, it's not actually the frequency we would think of as being that note. They're all squished together. So if we're on G and then we go to our B flat for our seventh partial, it's not actually a B flat. Even the G is a little sketchy, but the B flat's getting more sketchy. And then the C above that, I guess I would call that a major second. Would you call that a major second?
Yeah.
Major second.
From 7 to 8?
Yeah, from 7 to 8.
Be a very large major second.
Okay, see? Large major second. So we have these concepts in our partial series. We have large thirds, large seconds, small seconds, which come past that C, which I am not, for our purposes, I'm not going to go past the eighth partial today. Those, you get into seconds that get gradually smaller, and sometimes you can use them, but for the most part, we're not really using them that much. So we're only going to go up 8 partials, I think, in our review today.
Notice that 8 to 4 would be an octave, which is the same proportion as 4 to 2, which is the same proportion as 2 to 1. And that's going to be the case throughout the harmonic series, is that all these things add up. Calling these intervals sketchy, as you just did, is based on acceptance of equal temperament.
Right.
And it's kind of an irony, because these intervals of the harmonic series are real, and they occur in physics again and again. A person studying radio electronics would learn them with different vocabulary, but they would still be learning them.
Yeah. Do you want to talk anything about electronics before we go on with other harmonic series review, or you want to just do the review?
If you hook up, if you go for an ear test, they typically will take a tone and see if you can hear it, and then it goes up in pitch to see what you can hear, what your frequency hearing is.
We're going through a toll right now, so the hazards of videoing while driving. I love that I have a place I can stick my phone. So I'm sure we're wiggling, but
anyway,
if it bothers you, turn off the video.
Your ear test, the device is usually in logarithmic multiples because of the nature of capacitors that are used to change frequencies in a circuit. And they're going to go up the harmonic series. You're going to get, say your test tone is a C, you're going to get C, C, G, C, E, G, B flat C, D, E, F sharp G, and so forth, right along the harmonic series.
It's kind of neat. It's really interesting stuff. It goes way outside of music and piano tuning, but we're going to back up. So
in philosophy, too,
no, we're not gonna back up.
Rene Descartes called the harmonic series the fingerprint of God.
I love that.
Because it was so discoverable in virtually all forms of physics.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's absolutely
and
everywhere.
That's the irony, is we now consider it to be out of tune.
Yeah.
What's that tell you about the modern world?
So awesome. I knew this was going to be awesome if we did this. I'm going to bring him in on future reviews when we drive. So let's go around the circle of fifths. How's that?
All right.
Okay, so G. If our harmonic series starts on G.
Harmonic series?
Yeah.
Or our circle of fifths?
No, we're going to go around the circle of fifths and then do a harmonic series built on each circle of fifths number. I'm glad you asked. Does that make sense?
No.
I want my audience to understand. So we started on C and we looked at the harmonics above C. So now we're going to move to G and we're going to look at the harmonics above G.
Okay.
We're going to go in order. This is going to seem very basic to him, but this is a review for piano tuners. So starting on G, our first partial is G. Our second partial is an octave up, it's G. Our third partial is a fifth up, which is
D.
D. And the next partial is
G,
which is a fourth above that. The next partial is B, which is a major third above that. The next partial is D, which is a minor third above that.
And notice that 4, 5, and 6, once again, GBD, form a major triad.
Yep. And that's, I did a, he may not know this, I did a video where I talked about, I guess we call it a major minor seventh, you know? So so you've got the first partial, one, we talked about scale degrees, so we have 1, 1, 5, 1, G, G, D, G. And on that fourth partial from there up, we build a major minor seventh chord.
That's if you include the seventh partial.
If you include the seventh partial. So you've got your major chord, GBD, starting from the fourth partial. And then so 4, 5, 6. And then the seventh partial is that flat 7. So G, B, D, F natural. F natural is the seventh partial. And that creates your... People call it a dominant seventh chord because it can be a dominant seventh chord, but that's kind of wrong when we're out of context. Gosh, this is shaking a lot. I might hold it for a minute. So the reason it's kind of a dominant seventh chord, but it's only a dominant seventh chord if you're in the key of C. So in the key of G, it's just a major minor seventh chord. But
notice from partial 6 on down, all the notes together form a major triad.
Yes.
With doublings.
Yes, with doublings.
So it's no coincidence that music all over the world is based on that major triad sound.
Yeah, it's what we hear.
And you could define aesthetically a consonance as being the lower partials, the simpler fractions, and you could define dissonance as being higher partials and more complex fractions.
Yeah, I like that.
In public speaking, they steal our musical terms, consonance and dissonance. We should charge them for that.
We should.
Meaning things that are easily understood or things that confuse an audience in public speaking. Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. So the higher up you get in the harmonic series, when you get intervals closer together, then we get more dissonant. But yeah, I think that, so what he's saying, I think, is, music all over the world, the first things we learn are simple intervals, are consonant intervals, the lower ones in the harmonic series. And the first scale people tend to grasp is a pentatonic scale. If I haven't shared it in my playlists, I will make sure I add Bobby McFerrin's playing around with the pentatonic scale with an audience. If you haven't seen it, it's so cool. It's awesome. Okay, so let's finish this one. So we just have one more interval. So G. So scale degrees: 1, 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, G, G, D, G, B, D, F natural, G. All moving upward. So moving around the circle, that's D. Want to say anything special?
Oh, that's why you meant circle of fifths.
Yeah.
Going C, G, D.
Yeah. So now we're starting on D. I confused him because this is he's not used to being this basic.
Now the circle of fifths is a human invention. Mm-hmm. The harmonic series is not. It's part of the physics.
Mm-hmm.
The circle of fifths was used by the ancient Greeks because they liked the numbers 3 and 2. And you can see throughout Western European culture that those numbers become essential in architecture and art and music. And if you keep projecting 3 to 2, 3 to 2, 3 to 2, you get a series of perfect fifths. So she went C to G and now to D.
D, fifths.
And the pentatonic scale we just mentioned is not to be found in the harmonic series. It is the first 5 projections of a circle of fifths.
Oh, that makes
C,
sense.
G, D, A, E. That's 5 notes.
C, G, D. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess I knew that. I'm yawning because my ears are popping.
If you take them out of that fifth order and put them in proximity to each other, you get C, D, E, G, A.
Yep. Pentatonic scale.
That scale, without exception, any exceptions that I've ever heard, is found in every musical culture on the planet.
Yeah.
Different ways of intoning it. Could be perfect 3 to 2s or slightly flat ones like we used to use, like we like to use in equal temperament. But nonetheless, that scale, which would be missing the 4th and 7th scale degrees, is a psychic unity of all humans. It's found to be desirable because of its simplicity.
We gravitate to it. If I'm going to share that video, you're going to love. It's awesome what Bobby McFerrin does with the audience. They just follow him. It's brilliant. But
you don't have to think too hard to come up with quite a few popular tunes, children's songs, well-known tunes, ditties, chants that use that scale.
Yeah.
Do, re, mi, sol, la, do, la, sol, mi, re, do.
Yeah. So from D.
Okay, D.
D. Octave up. D. 5th up.
A.
D. 4th up.
D.
Major 3rd.
F sharp.
Minor 3rd.
A.
So what's the next interval? It's another minor 3rd, but it's squished, right?
So C natural.
No, wait. Where am I?
Or the 7th partial.
On the 7th partial.
4, 5, 6 form the triad D, F sharp, A.
Yeah.
And then flat 7
Flat
makes
7 is D.
major minor 7th.
So we have 2 minor 3rds. We talked about
enthusiasts of
that.
equal temperament, you'd find that to be a pretty flat 7th.
Yeah.
And if you were a trombone player, heaven forbid, you would not like that C natural very well.
Of course, we have a slide, so you can mess with it.
Right.
It's easier.
And that's what happens.
Yeah.
And that not only raises that 7th to closer to equal temperament, minor 7th, it also shrinks that whole step above it so that you get flat 7-1 of a acceptable size.
I have to think about this. That's cool. Okay.
Now, a medieval...
And after the C is a D.
A medieval seminarian learning the chants would not find that acceptable to do. He would prefer the lowered 7th and the big whole step. But once your music becomes more complex than that, it doesn't work. That's the issue.
Yep. And that's why we temper. Oh boy. Anyway. Okay, I think we did D. A.
All right.
You want to just say the letters?
A. E. A. C sharp. E.
And then
G natural.
Yeah, G natural. And then A.
Now that G natural, once again, is an approximation.
Right.
It's not low enough to be G flat. It's not high enough to be G natural.
Yeah. All right. E. Want to do E?
All right. I can't wait.
E. He's so excited. E. E.
B.
A. Wait. I did. Sorry. I'm going to shut up now. E. E. B. E.
G sharp. B.
Thank you.
Low D natural, and then E.
I'm being slow today. This is embarrassing. That's okay. Oh, all right. B. Let's see if I can do this. B, F sharp, B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp, A natural.
A, low A.
Oh. Low A.
Yeah.
Oh, and B. Yo, duh. Flat 7. A sharp is in the scale.
Right, A sharp would be in the B major scale.
Right.
That's why it would be logical to think A sharp.
Yeah. Brain.
That's not a stupid error. That's
It's a stupid error. It's fine. It's a careless error. I make careless errors. Oh my god. Okay, so A natural.
It's an error of knowing too much.
It's a yeah. Thank you. A natural is the flat 7 in a B major scale.
We're getting into lots of sharps here.
Yeah.
And that in the early church, when they were formulating their chants, was considered to be too much. It was considered to be lascivious.
Mm-hmm.
And B was considered to be a questionable note.
Ah.
Because had we gone the other direction, down on the circle of fifths, we'd be into flats.
They didn't think D flat was lascivious.
D flat is lascivious.
It's also lascivious.
B
Okay.
flat. B flat is
It's fine.
acceptable. F sharp was acceptable.
Really?
Beyond that, the Pope
Interesting.
would say, we ain't going there.
That's funny. I think that's just an excuse because they didn't want to deal with a lot of sharps and flats. I think
Guido of Arezzo in the 9th century had figured all that out, but he was pretty much told, you're not doing that, I don't understand it, go away. And so he limited himself to B flat and F sharp.
Works.
He theorized briefly that a scale on D would be possible.
That's interesting. So now we're in the bottom end of the circle of fifths, and a B is also a C flat. So if we were to do a harmonic series above C flat, it would just be like C, except everything would be flat, and the flat 7 would be a double flat. But let's move on to F sharp. And the enharmonic equivalent of F sharp is G flat. Maybe we'll do both just for fun because I have him here today. So,
And this was,
F sharp.
if this was the year 1000, this would be censored.
This would be censored. This is beep. We'd be beeping all this stuff. So the harmonic series above F sharp is beep, beep, beep. No, I'm kidding. F sharp. Sorry. Okay. F sharp. F sharp. C sharp. F sharp. Is it A sharp?
A sharp,
A sharp.
C sharp, E natural,
E natural.
F sharp.
Yes, F sharp is the last note. Now, we're saying E natural because in the scale, E, it would have been E sharp, which on the piano is the F key, but we're not in the key of F, we're in the key of F sharp, so we can't use the F key and call it F because we've already used the letter F, so it's E sharp. So to flatten it, we go to E. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, good.
I was in a medieval music seminar with some really great teachers. I had Theo Gellner and Theo Gellner and Carl Geiringer, and the student mentioned the multiple sharps and E sharps as a possibility for a Guidonian hexachord, and Gellner said, close the door before we talk about that.
So funny. So the same keys on the keyboard, if you were to do flats, I tend towards sharps because old school piano tuners and non-musician piano tuners think everything in sharps. So I prefer to stick with sharp scales like F sharp and C sharp. But just for the heck of it, same keys on the keyboard, let's do a harmonic, oh, I didn't slow down a minute. A harmonic series starting from
G flat.
G flat.
All right.
So here we go. I'm ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mess this up, I know it. Okay. G flat, G flat, D flat, G flat, B flat,
D flat,
yeah, D flat,
F flat,
F
G
flat. G flat. Yes, and notice we're in the same key of E, but we're calling it an F flat because it's not an F. An F would not be in that harmonic series. And, you know, a lot of piano tuners will say, you know, why not just call it F? Well, if you're thinking about the harmonic series, it's not E or F. It's neither of them. So I think it's important to wrap your brain around the concept of intervals and leading tones and how they work. Because if you think of everything as either a white key or a sharp, you lose that orientation, spatial orientation regarding the sizes of intervals. That's just how I think about it.
Right, and these things become flavors and colors.
Mm-hmm.
A good choral director is extremely conversant with all of these spellings and their actual meanings. Well, and that's why violins and the string quartet instruments have no frets, because they can use these colors.
Yeah. I mean, a pianist, sure, we can't. If we play an E sharp,
You can't
it's
shade
an F.
notes. You can't shade notes the same way on the piano.
Yeah.
However, you know, if you shoot a target with a shotgun, you're going to get a bullseye. And the multiple courses on the piano and the nature of the piano as a percussion instrument striking a string, which to some extent bends the wire when you hit it with the hammer. You don't get a clean, specific, clear
That's true.
pitch.
That's true.
You get a pitch that moves a little.
Mm-hmm.
And the multiple courses phase the
Yes.
sound out till you get a nice percussive color, which is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So what you lose in shadings that you could get with pure intervals, you gain in shadings of color from a note that is in motion.
That's cool.
A violinist can get that effect with vibrato,
Yeah.
and they can control
Yeah.
it. And a
Yeah.
really great pianist can control it with their touch. How hard is the hammer hit the string, and you know, with what acceleration.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're kind of dealing with fuzzballs here.
Yeah. It's funny. So speaking of sharps, let's go with. Well, I said C flat would be the harmonic series, except I think it'd be flat. So C sharp is the harmonic series with everything sharp. The flat 7 from C sharp would be B. It would just be B. So no big deal there. So instead of C sharp, let's go ahead and go D flat, because that takes slight more thought, a little bit more thought. So D flat, D flat, A flat, D flat, F, A flat,
C flat,
flat.
C flat,
Oh yeah,
and then
C
D
flat, C flat and D flat. This is good for me. I use these, but I don't think about them this way as much as I should. This is really good practice for me. Woo. Okay.
Bartók called it white key chromaticism.
White key chromaticism. Really?
Yeah, he was a pianist.
Okay. That's kind of neat.
Bartók refused to teach composition. He would only teach piano.
Oh.
He said composition couldn't be taught.
Well, that's interesting. I guess it depends on how you define composition.
We'd be broke right now.
Yeah, really. I know. So, A flat. Have we done A flat? We haven't
That's
done
it.
flats yet. We're going around the circle of fifths. We're in the home stretch. We're away from the bottom. So A flat. Here we go. A flat, A flat, E flat, A flat, C, E flat, G flat. I keep doing
A
that.
flat.
G flat, A flat. I have to think about it. He's faster than I am. But if you practice this when you're tuning, it's easier to line stuff up. Ooh, that gives me an idea for a video. I'll do that later. New review for a later date. Okay, going around the circle of fifths, E flat. Here we go. E flat, E flat, B flat, E flat, G, B flat. Here I go. Wait, I was gonna say, let me get it. D flat, E flat.
We're on the New River Gorge Bridge right
We
now.
are. We are here. Let me see if I can see it. New River Gorge Bridge. It's awesome. It's really cool. I can't tell what I'm filming. We are on the New River Gorge Bridge. It's gorgeous. Oh, there's the river. Ooh, I wonder if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll find out when I look at the video. I'm probably not going to edit this. I'm probably just going to post it. Okay, so where were we? E flat. So we're going to B flat. Here we go. B flat. B flat.
D.
Wait.
No, B flat, F.
Thank you. Okay, I wasn't the only one to make a mistake. Driving while you're doing this is hazardous. It's not as bad as it's not as bad as texting. Oh my god. Okay, let's do this again.
There you go.
B flat, B flat, F, B flat. Now it's our D,
D,
F,
A flat,
yes.
B flat.
I keep getting hung up on the flat 7. I don't know what my problem is today. Brain hiccup today. Not enough caffeine. So in the B flat scale, our flat 7 was A flat, because A would be in the scale. So we flatten it to A flat. Tonic is B flat. And our last, so here's a question for my audience. What's a fifth up from B flat? Because around the circle of fifths, we're going around fifths, it is an F. So now we're going to do the circle of fifths the partial series starting from F, and then we're done.
And if you notice, it's gotten through a node of complexity when we switch from sharps to flats, and it's becoming simpler again.
Yeah. Yep. Around the whole circle of fifths, we're down to a key with only one flat before we're back to C.
The key of F would have been acceptable to the Pope at Guido's time.
Yeah. I think they're just
Key of B
lazy.
flat, not so much.
Really? Wow. That's bizarre. Okay. Starting from...
B was a diabolus note. It was not acceptable. B could be B or B flat. I saw B and B flat as being, and this is an interesting viewpoint, which is not entirely crazy. And B was one thing, and it could be a high B or a low B, or as they call it, a hard B or a soft B.
Okay.
And the hard B was drawn with a square letter B, and a soft and hard. And they were called durum molum, hard and soft. And that's where we get our sharp and natural signs and our flat signs from.
Oh, yeah.
From the medieval script.
Yeah. I might make a video about that as an extra. That might be interesting, actually. Okay, last one. Here we go. Huh?
F.
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 F. F. C. F. A. C. E flat. F. Those are the first 8 partials starting from F. E is in the scale of F, so if we flat the 7th degree, flat 7 is E flat. Quick review. What we're doing is we're doing octave, 5th, 4th, major 3rd, minor 3rd, smaller minor 3rd, I guess.
Then large whole step.
Large whole step.
And then more reasonable whole step, and then small whole step.
Yeah, but that's going past the 8th scale degree. He's going further. But I have gone over that, so that is important to know.
So
it just gets smaller and smaller.
Early keyboard tunings, attempts at tempering the scale, different kinds of mean tone, would use more than one size of whole step.
Yeah, for sure.
And that would limit how many keys you could play on it before you got in trouble.
Yep. Jason Castle in the PTG made a video about that. He taught a little class on it, and he made a video with playing a harpsichord in different temperaments. It was really neat.
And one could keep going all the way around the circle of fifths with sharps and into double sharps and triple sharps, or down into flats, double flats, and triple flats, to get where our letter naming system is quite complex and inadequate to name it, and it has very little use in making music, but it could keep going.
Yeah.
So to some extension, we make the same decision as the Pope in Guido's time, saying,
That's true.
we don't need that.
Yeah. And it fits my theory too. It just gets too complicated. We don't want to deal with it. We're just lazy. We don't want to think about that many sharps or flats.
Well, in terms of what's possible in the physics of sound, the nomenclatures and systems of proportions that we need in music are fairly small. And if you were going to go into radio electronics, you would need a lot more knowledge of this and a more facile vocabulary to describe it. And mathematics fit the bill there. Trigonometry, really.
Yeah, it's starting to get beyond me.
A radio electronics person or a digital electronics person is going to use the science of trigonometry daily in their work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of neat. So the last thing I want to mention, I mentioned the intervals starting from the first partial. Now I want to do scale degrees, and I'm going to go up to 8 first, and we're going to talk a little bit. So we have 1, 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1. Those are the scale degrees. And when he went beyond that, it's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7, 7, 1. To the next several, but we don't use those in piano tuning. But it just keeps going. My point is that it doesn't stop. It just gets quieter and quieter and quieter, and the intervals get closer and closer together. And so you end up with mud up at the top, which fortunately we can't hear because it would be a mess. And
we do hear it, but we don't define it.
Okay.
It's an infinite progression. What would happen if you took a sound that was only those upper complex partials and the actual fundamental and simple partials were removed? Well, that does happen. That would be like a snare drum sound or a cymbal sound.
Okay. That's your white noise that I call.
Sort of a white noise.
White noise. Okay. Okay. Static. Static?
Yeah.
Static. Or all partial. Yeah. Yeah.
And that does happen on a piano. It's just the fundamental.
Yes.
In order for that to be aesthetically pleasing and useful to us in music, the fundamental is the most powerful note. Indeed, my voice as I'm speaking, the fundamental of the sound I'm making, more complex perhaps than a violin note or a trumpet note, is fundamental rich.
Yeah.
The better the singer, the more rich they are in fundamental.
Yeah. And
I could sing for them and show them what a fundamental poor voice sounds.
no, that's what would happen. I think I'm gonna make on my regular channel. That's a different channel. I'll talk about that later. I thought of one more thing I wanted to say. I think I've forgotten it. I don't want to edit this, so I'm going to shut up now. If I think of it, I'll add it on later. If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, if you have questions for Tim, put them in the comments below or email me. I'll put my email down below because he is the music theory guru, but he also knows a lot about music history and everything else. So if you have any, and how music theory...
He's also a pretty good driver.
He's driving really well while we're doing this. Yeah. So,
haven't killed any skunks.
Not yet. Dead skunk in the middle of the road, stinking high heaven. This video is...
We have fundamental rich smell.
Fundamental rich smells. This video is going on 40 minutes long. Oh my god. I'm sorry. But if you got this far and you enjoyed it, great. If not, no worries. Subscribe. And I will make more videos with Tim in the future. If you have any questions, let us know. Bye! I remember what it was. So imagine if you have partials going up from a note on a piano, a string. And I've talked about false beats. So let's say you have partials going up from one string and then a pair of that string in a duplex or a triplex?
Yes.
Three courses, whatever. A duplex. If you have two strings and their partials don't line up, you're going to get false beats between the two of them, not just from one string. So you can get false beats from one string. We'll talk about that another time. But you can get false beats from, not false beats. You can't get a clean unison because the partials, hold on, because I'm going to forget what I was going to say. Keep that thought, because the partials don't line up. So what if you have a situation where not only are your partials not lining up, or even if they are lining up, what if you have partials on a piano where one of the partials is creating its own overtone series that is audible, that is loud enough to cause interference with the partials from another string? Oh my god, you can get this shimmering effect. You can get all kinds of crazy things happening that I honestly don't understand. I just know they happen. What were you going to say?
Yeah, you can get some interesting patterns that way, and you go beyond the intonation, it becomes coloration.
Yeah.
Ideally, I was going to say, the harmonic series proportions, say 5-4, 6-5, and so forth, are always the same. But the reality of the situation, like everything in life, is that they're not. If you had perfect wires of identical length and perfect metallurgically designed materials that had no flaws, you could theoretically approach that. It doesn't happen. You can come close to it with electrons in a wire, and you can come close. You can describe it mathematically on paper. But what happens with two pieces of piano wire, even one after the other, off the same assembly line or cut off the same coil, is that they're different. There might be some rust on one, or there might be a scrape on one, or the metal crystals in it might not be formed the same way. In fact, inevitably, they are not formed the same way. And you have a complex, heterogeneous material that does different things. So you're always going to get aberrations to those perfect proportions. It's always going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to point out that everything we've talked about thus far is still not in harmonicity. That's another level that we'll talk about another time, because this video is already too long. Are we done this time?
There are infinite variables, and you go beyond intonation into coloration.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, so I'm assuming we're approaching 45 minutes on our video, so I will cut us off now and save the rest for a future video. Bye again.
Carry on.
Carry on. Video it. I'm going to tack this onto the end of my video. This is another bridge. It's beautiful.